All right, this video is on solving percent problems with proportions and equations. So you're going to learn how to solve problems involving percent. Sloths may seem lazy, but their extremely slow movements helps to make them almost invisible to predators. Sloths sleep an average of 16.5 hours a day. To find out what percent of a 24-hour day 16.5 hours is, you can use a proportion or an equation. So let's look at both methods here. So to set up a proportion, you need two sides or two fractions. On one side, you're going to have the part and the whole. And the other side, you're going to have the part and the whole, except the whole on this side is going to be out of 100. So you have to match each of these pieces. The 24 hours is 100%. We're looking for this percent here, which is out of 16.5. We cross multiply, so you do n times 24, and then you do 100 times 16.5. You simplify and then solve by dividing by 24. And then you can also use the equation method. You identify percent of 24 is 16.5. And you just drop them in. Percent that's the thing we're looking for. Of means times. 24 is the whole. Is means equals. And this is the thing we know. So we would find this to be n times 24 equals 16.5. So n is equal to 0.6875, which becomes a percent of 68.75% by moving the decimal 2 places over. So sloths spend about 69% of the day sleeping. Okay, so let's look at another problem. What percent of 40 is 25? We're going to use a proportion to solve this. So we write the proportion. N over 100 is equal to 25 over 40. Okay, so we know this is the whole, or 100. We match that, put 100 here. And we're looking for 25 and what percent that is. We cross multiply. That gives us 40n equals 25. 2500. We divide each side by 40 to just get n, and we get 62.5. So 25 is 62.5%. So by using the proportion method, we get the percent directly. We don't have to change anything. Here's another one. Solve 15 is 25% of what number? Set up the proportion first. So in this case, we know that 15 is 25%. So we put 25 over 100. And we know that the 25 is 15. We don't know what the whole is because it says of what number. So this is our n. This is our unknown. We're looking for what is 100. Set up, cross multiply. Get 25, n equals 1500. Divide both sides by 25. And you get n equals 60. So 15 is 25% of 60. Okay, now you try it. What percent of 50 is 10? What percent of 50 is 10? All right, we're going to set a proportion. We're looking for the percent, so it's n over 100 equals 10 over 50, because of means 100 out of, so it means the 100%. And looking for the 10, cross multiply. N times 50 equals 100 times 10. Get 50n equals 1,000. Divide both sides by 50. N equals 20. So therefore 10 is 20% of 50. Another one. 8 is 40% of what number? Set up our proportion. 40 over 100 equals 8 over n. We know that the 40% is 8. So we're looking for the whole. What is the whole? We know 100% is the whole, but what is the actual number related to 8? Cross multiply. 40n equals 80. Divide. N equals 20. So 8 is 40% of 20. Okay, using equations to solve now. 35 is 28% of what number? We're going to write the equation. 35 is 28% times what number? Times what number? So we know that 35 is 28%. So we're saying what times 28% is 35? Okay, we're going to make the 28% become a decimal, so it's 0.28. We're going to divide both sides by 0.28. That leaves us with 125 for n. So 35 is 28% of 125. Okay, let's try another one with the equation. What percent of 9 is 18? So we're going to write the equation. 18 is what percent of 9? 9 is our whole. So what percent times the whole would give us 18? Okay, we're going to divide both sides by 9. That leaves us n equals 2. So therefore, n is 200%, which makes sense because if 9 is 100%, and if you double it, 18 would be 200%. So 18 is 200% of 9. 36 is 24% of what number? So we already have our setup here, but let's just go through it. You have 36 equals 24% times n. We write 24 as a decimal. Okay. 0.24. We divide both sides by 0.24 because we want to get n by itself. And that leaves us with n equals 150. So 36 is 24% of 150. So again, the only difference with the equation part versus the proportion is that when we use the equation, we have to convert the percent into a decimal. What percent of 6 is 36? So we write our equation. 36 equals some percent times 6. Okay? We're going to divide both sides by 6 because we want to get n by itself. Write the decimal as a percent. So we get n equals 6. So 6 is a whole number, which means it's 600%. So 36 is 600% of 6. Right? So let's say we're finding taxes. So a portable DVD player costs $225 before tax at an appliance warehouse. What is the sales tax rate if the tax is $18? So we know the tax is $18. We know the whole cost, or the 100%, is $225. Okay, so we're just looking for what percent is this of that. This of that. Okay, so we restate the question is what percent of 225 is 18? Okay, we're looking for the percent. We have the 100% or 225. We have the part. Okay, we write a proportion. N over 100 equals 18 over 225. We know the 225 is 100%. We're looking for what is 18 as a percent. Multiply. We get 225n equals 1800. Divide both sides by 225 because we want to get n by itself. And we end up with n equals 8. But remember, that is the percent, so therefore it is 8%. The sales tax is 8%. Okay, now you try. A flat screen TV costs $800 before tax at an appliance store. Appliance warehouse. What is the sales tax rate if the tax is $56? So we know this is the tax. This is the 100%. We're looking for what percent of this is of that. So we rewrite the question as what percent of 800 is $56? Because again, we know the 800 is 100%. Set up a proportion. N over 100 equals 56 over 800. We know 800 is 100%. We're looking for this as a percent. We cross multiply. We get 800n equals 5600. Divide to get n by itself. We get n equals 7. So the sales tax is 7%. The $56 is 7% of 800, so therefore the sales tax is 7%. Okay, and finally, just the check-in. 21 is 42% of what number? 50. What percent of 292 is 73? 25%. 112% of what number is 84? 75. What percent of 1,340 is 13.4? 1%. And finally, an ad features a bicycle on sale for $139. If the total cost of the bike is $147.34, what is the sales tax rate? 6%.